Hello. Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello,
Forgot to
Sam.
ask. Yes, how are you, Gabby? How's life with you?
Fine. Enjoying the longer days. And you?
Yes, very good. I'm very good. Welcome to With Wisdom, everybody. It's Gabby and Sam, and we are in the month of June. And that month of June, with as Gabby just said, the longer days. The longer days, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, of course,
Hmm.
longer days, which makes people think, what am I going to do? And how am I going to fill that time? And some people, it's a good thing. Some people find it quite hard, I think, but that's the personal view. I'd love
Mm.
to hear your views about June and what's June bringing for you, Gabby, today.
Well, I mean, the years goes by and I'm sensing or leaning more into listening to myself and what I'm needing. And I
Yeah.
find myself then in the approaching of summer or the months where there's more light, even though there's this energy of going outside and growth and vision and working, I'm also feeling the need to have quiet time and more like uh, introspection to myself, which
Mm-hmm.
in the past, when I was younger, I was like just in the outside,
Out,
not
out,
doing.
out, out, out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember when I'm already 21 years in Europe, so I
Mm.
remember quite vividly my first summer. It
Yeah.
was quite exhausting because I was not used to that. I mean, in Venezuela, where I grew up, we had quite an even distribution
Yes.
of light and night, so day and night. I mean, at 6 in the morning or 6:30, you already had the sunrise, and in the afternoon was again at 6 or 6:30 the afternoon. Then you got
Mm.
the night, and it was quite even, so you didn't feel it that much in your body. It was just like
Mm.
I woke up, I do, and everything was more or less balanced. And the first time I was in Paris for my PhD in the summer, it was like I was going out from work and there was still sun, and my I was feeling like I still need to do things, or I don't know,
Yeah.
go for a beer or things like that. And I
Yeah.
remember I was exhausted because I was feeling the pull to do things, but then my body and myself, I was exhausted, but I could not like stop it. And 21 years now gone by, and also I'm approaching my 50s. I feel more like the need of coming back to my roots, like in Venezuela. I'm feeling this balance between the light and the night and the shadow. And today I was researching, since I wanted to share something about, yeah, this personal feeling and experience, and how maybe our ancestors or people lived in the past where there was no many social media and all this illusion that everything is unchangeable, because we are like in a world everything is available 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Mm.
And it was interesting to find out about Vestalia in Roma, uh,
Mm.
that before the summer solstice celebrations and celebrating the sun god Apollo and the
Yeah.
peak of light and all this stuff, they they spent, I think, was kind of a week or so, honoring Vesta, who was the goddess of the feminine goddess of home and the fire at home, the fireplace at home, but also it's this fire where people gather around, cook, transform things. It's a
Yeah.
quiet fire. It's a fire that
Mm.
it's supposed to be a lasting fire
So
instead
like
of.
almost like a steady flame,
Yeah,
like in your hearth. And if
yeah.
you're gathering around the hearth, it's more likely to be like the heart of your home.
Yeah, and that's how it
Oh,
was seen. It was on the same
mm,
time was a fertility goddess, right? And so
okay.
it was seen, and it's actually because I mean they experience the same nature, but the Chinese.
Just so you know, you just froze a tiny bit.
Ah, okay.
So yes, have a to start that
Okay.
bit again, because I just missed the first little bit of your sentence.
So I was just saying that it's well, that at the end is interesting and also logical that Chinese also had kind of same way of going around the summer solstice. In the ancient traditions, they spend a time honoring the earth and
Hmm.
the yin energy to balance, because as many people nowadays know, the yin and yang symbol is a symbol of all this harmony, symbolizing or meaning that when you reach a peak, so the peak of the yang, which is the summer solstice, is the maximum yang, is when the yin starts to be more present and growth.
Hmm.
And in a way of balancing before this big celebration of summer, they honor the earth, the yin energy, they gather around. And actually the heart, which is the organ of the fire,
Yeah.
the element of summer, it's our inner home and inner fire, and it's like this fireplace at home where you cook, digest,
Mm.
connect with others, connect with yourself, and allows you to be outside in this maximum fire.
Mm.
So yeah, I find it beautiful to remind ourselves we don't need to be all the time outside, available, or bombarded by stimulus, which is, I think, nowadays kind of extreme. And
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
world where we are needing to more to have this quiet and this inner place of a flame that is sustainable and long-standing instead of this.
Definitely. I mean, I know people who kind of wish the whole of their life away for summer.
Mm,
And there are people who find that summer, just some of the things that you've said, that find it hard because there's this sort of notion of you have to enjoy yourself in summer.
mm-hmm,
And if you're not enjoying yourself, then you're like a bit of a party pooper. But actually, just because the light's there, it does, you still need those quieter, more introspective times as well to
mm-hmm,
resource yourself, regulate yourself, and rest as well.
mm-hmm,
Because the not only does the light kind of affect our kind of body, but the temperature affects our body.
mm-hmm,
So, expecting to do a whole heap more, like a third of your, more social engagements and managing a different temperature can also have an effect on our body. But people just seem to think that our bodies can just switch, like that.
Yeah, and I think that's an artificial conception of because I mean we live in times that are imposing us to be overwhelmingly connecting and overconnected, and at the same time we're deeply disconnected. Because when you see now that you were talking, I was thinking and reflecting back into my homeland in Venezuela, in the cities where there's hotter weather, so there's more,
Yes.
like you would say, more young things
Yeah.
in the past. Nowadays no, because we work in these working hours and office hours and things, but
Mm.
in the past people woke up very early in the morning where it was
Yes.
colder or
Yes.
cooler.
Cooler. Yeah.
They work and then they did a big pause
Yes.
in the mid of the day, which will be
The
this
siesta.
young energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe siesta, or they were
Which is
inside in
quiet.
quiet, in cooler, eating, preparing, and resting, and then they got active again when the sun was a little bit
Mm.
down, or I mean, not so strong, and
Mm.
they adapted themselves to that rhythm, and that's a maximum yang. I mean, people were
Mm.
not like with the maximum yang outside, and that's also what one sees in the Caribbean beaches, or in all these beaches, that Europeans or people that come with this idea, which is not a natural idea, that you need to be outside, they tend to be on the beach at noon or at the times where the sun is more
Very,
dangerous.
very hot. Have
Yeah.
you heard the phrase, and excuse anybody who's listening, it's mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. And that was a little kind of song that was sung around Victorian times. That's where you would find the mad dogs, and that's where you would find the Englishmen roasting in the midday sun, when actually
Mhm.
it is incredibly the worst time for you. And most um, other animals and other insects would seek shelter. So
Shelter.
Shelter and shade. I've just made a new word. Shelter and or shade at that time.
Shelter. You
Yeah.
said shelter?
Shade, shelter, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I was also, when I read about it, and also through Native Americans, I find beautiful the idea that the bonfires, or the fires that were the people used to celebrate for midsummer, and still not for solstice
Yes.
or midsummer,
Yeah.
they do these big fires, and in some traditions you
Mm.
jump the fires or whatever. But there were the idea in some of these fires, people were helping the sun, given strength, and from here, from our earth, to send a strength and energy to the sun to keep shining, because they knew the sun will start to wane and go
Mm.
into autumn and winter. And they were, and I found it beautiful, because it was in the time human beings felt deeply connected to the whole creation, and having a purpose like that. You can imagine what it feels to feel that not that you are all almighty and powerful, but just that you are in cooperation with whole creation, because you are part of creation, and you do your thing and you do your part.
Mm.
It's like,
Mm.
sometimes we might think it was dumb, but no, I think it's a different feeling to wake up each day. And to Native Americans, some Native Americans I read, they had the tradition to wake up and say hello to the sun, but also because they felt that, so they help with this energy, the sun to wake up. And it's a different way of being in the world. I
I love
find.
it. Yes. I think that's beautiful. Oh gosh, I was thinking when you were talking, so you talked about the festivals before, in terms of the hearth and the home and that kind of more kind of the lights, that's sort of like a almost like an eternal flame that would be there in a
Mm.
family. And then you went into the solstice, which is around around the 21st of the month. And then there's midsummer. There's also midsummer, isn't there, which is the 24th of the month. And
Yeah, I think it
midsummer,
depends. It changes in each land, no? So in Sweden, I don't remember, but it's all around that, no?
this
Midsummer,
time, yeah,
solstice, because there was different calendars, and then you see also the contradictions of the imposed calendars with the nature
nature's
calendar.
calendar.
Yeah.
So for me, June is very much around the word bloom. I think might have mentioned this last year, but I have a garden. I'm very privileged to have a garden in my home, and not that I am a gardener. I would say definitely plants are incredibly important to me, and I feel they're almost like close friends. The roses in my garden are particularly kind of precious for one reason and another. Some of them have been there before who may have been planted by the previous owners in this
Wow.
house, and I know that the previous owners were absolutely, um, they loved this house because it has a very good feel in this house. They loved living here and they loved their garden. So some of those roses were tended by people who had a great love of them. So I
Hmm.
feel like they are members of their family that have kind of been integrated in my family. And then so I do see my plants as like members of my family. That sounds mad, but I do think it is right. So when they come into bloom at this time, and actually some of the roses bloom very, very early because of the kind of almost, it feels like everything started to come very early this year. So some of my roses were blooming in like, end of April, May. But the majority kind of tend to come in June. And there's
Hmm.
one in particular that was given to me it was a rose bush that was given to me as a gift when I left a job many years ago. So it's been in my garden since 2007. So that's nearly
Wow.
20 years. And every year they just bring such a huge amount of joy from the first stems that start to shoot after, in early spring to the first buds to the way that the rose actually starts to open and then the way that the petals fall and their remaining rose hip that's left. And I
Hmm.
deliberately keep the rose hip on the bush so that I can then harvest it around Christmas time to put into
Mm-hmm.
Christmas wreaths or on the Christmas table. So it has a proper kind of life in the garden, and I don't like cut it down at certain points of the year. But if I could just share maybe a photo, just because it might be easier to talk around this photo. Can you see that?
Yeah, now yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it. And if you can imagine the strongest and sweetest scent from that rose.
Mm.
And what I love about it is the layers. And I kind of think for me, June is a time when I think, for me in particular, but I think maybe for us as humans, we start to see different layers of ourselves appearing in this month.
Mm.
Layers which are a little bit more carefree, layers which might feel a little bit more kind of slightly more extrovert, maybe, layers that might need a bit of quiet and peace and calmness to replenish. I think there's those layers that happen that, and maybe there's the physical stripping off of clothes that happens in warm weather, that
Mm-hmm.
we're revealing some other layers of ourselves, or it's the way that we think what we might need to keep ourselves cool and calm and collected with the things that we put on our back in terms of our clothes as well, in the activities that we do. So there's something around layers that comes through for me in June. It's such a glorious, I mean, even look at the shades of pink on that
Mm.
rose. So you've got that
Beautiful.
dark pink, you've got the whiter, paler
Mm-hmm.
pink at the edge, you've got a coral pink that's there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set against a very lush green background because, again, normally, not necessarily every year, but normally you'd have a kind of relatively cooler, wetter, in certainly in the UK, April, May, and then you'll get that green lush growth, and then the roses reflect their colour very beautifully against that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This rose, though, inspired me many years ago, actually it's quite a number of years ago, to write a poem, and I wondered whether I could read that aloud whilst you've got that picture on the screen. You up for it?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I pressed my nose and inhaled deeply. The scent filled my head and made me swoon. Heady, fragrant, but with notes almost fleeting, reminders of times gone by. My fingers traced the velvet curve of petals' edge, each one nestled into the other with a centre hidden. Sharp thorns protecting the soft downy beauty at the end of each slender stem. My eyes flicked over the bloom, entranced by the last drop of dew, slowly evaporating in the morning light, colours diluted at the tips, saturated at the centre. A bee buzzed, attracted by the heady scent and promise of sweetness. Deep inside, thwarted by the tightly furled petals, it moved to nearby blousy blooms, already past their glory, to reveal in the nectar of roses in June.
Mm.
So there's something around the bee that you'll often see in June as well. They always seem very busy, but I guarantee those busy bees stop. And the phrase is they stop to smell the roses. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Even a busy bee stops to smell the roses, because there is that kind of like lushness
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to just be with those blooms that we see right now. So that's my invitation to any of you listening.
Wow.
Stop and smell the roses in June.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, I think my invitation is, along with yours, is to tend to your inner fire, to
Mm,
listen to yourself and not what you think you should be doing for enjoying. Maybe the enjoyment is in stopping and smelling the roses and
mm,
let the fragrance reach us.
yeah,
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sam.
thank you, Gabby.
And this was With Wisdom, embodying energy, embracing seasons. And we wish you a beautiful start of June. And keep yourself posted, because in 2 weeks we come with a beautiful soul
Interview,
in our
yes.
interviews. So yeah. And let us know what you think, and what are you doing? Which roses are you smelling in the comments?
Mm,
Give it a like and subscribe and share the joy.
yeah, and
Bye
share
bye.
those layers. Goodbye.
Bye bye for now.